Hi people, Moino Ravenberg here again. There's something that I briefly wanted to discuss with people, so hence this video. It's about not letting your guard down. I don't think I've ever discussed this before, but this is something that you'll find in people. There are people, when you, for example, grow up in a secluded, or not secluded, but in a comfortable environment to the point where you basically are surrounded by trustworthy individuals. I've noticed that people like that have a tendency to drop their guard. For example, people that grew up in well-off environments, not financially, but overall. Imagine growing up and being surrounded by people that do nothing but love and care for you, and would never deceive you in any way, shape, or form. And throughout your life, for the majority, being surrounded by people like that, whether they be strangers or blood-related individuals, so family, friends, relatives, it does not matter. My point is, throughout life, you come across the right people, etc. I've noticed that people like that have a tendency to drop their guard. They basically overgeneralize, or they do something I like to call overgeneralize. They tend to think that just because the people they came across in their own lives are trustworthy, that automatically that means that the entire world is like that. And in the extremest of cases, it can lead to self-delusion, honestly, to the point where you can end up in big trouble. A story comes to mind of a couple that went, a couple from the US, if I'm not mistaken, either the US or Canada, that went backpacking or cycling through a Middle Eastern country to just prove that people all across the world are good. And what ended up happening, they ended up both getting killed and beheaded by, I think, a terrorist cell or similar. I'm gonna link that in the description below. Check it out. Didn't feel like wearing my glasses today. It's still early in the morning. That's what, 8 a.m., 9 a.m.? Yeah. 8 a.m. I think, yeah. Anywho, nice beautiful Sunday. Yeah, so it's something I noticed about people. They have a tendency to do stuff like tell other people, for example. I'm going to give you an example other than what I already said. Another example is when I still worked in a call center, I spoke to a customer, and that customer literally told me, you can, I don't know if it was me or if it was an acquaintance that was sitting right next to me. Bottom line is, one of us was told by a customer we had to deal with, or with a customer that we dealt with. A mechanic was supposed to come by or something, and it was a woman that owned the house, and the woman said, I won't be home, but he can just come in and install what he needs to install and then leave. I'll leave the key under the doormat. That's self-explanatory. It's like the woman is asking to get robbed. On the one hand, it's nice that you can trust people like that, but on the other hand, you still need to remain vigilant, because you're a sucker for scamming. You literally become like a sitting duck, and it's hunting season. It's just, wow, a scammer must feel like fucking Elmer Fudd, the real life Elmer Fudd, where I'm hunting ducks instead of wabbits. It's just, wow, nah, it's just, listen, me, for example, I grew up in a hostile environment where you pretty much couldn't trust even the person that sat next to you. The saying, keep your friends close and enemies closer, really applied to me like no other. But that didn't make me biased or make me distrust everybody. But my point is, you should always, I did a video on this that you can also find in the end screen. Always don't expect anything and you'll be just fine. As in, always assume the worst case scenario. So assume that even your parents that love you so much, for example, or other loved ones, are capable of doing the worst against you, committing the worst thing against you. You get married, for example, no problem. You get married, prepare yourself mentally, briefly. You don't have to simmer on it or just think about it in excess amounts, no. But just briefly think about it as in, hey, there's a realistic chance, regardless of how unlikely it is, that my wife, whom I love so and cherish so much, can at some point in our marriage deceive me in the worst imaginable way. So bluntly put, she can screw me over by screwing someone else, or by letting someone else screw her, and literally just try to swindle me for all I have. But if you don't do that, right, then you set yourself up for like a target, like a bullseye. And in the unlikeliest of cases, if that does happen, if the unlikeliest of cases does indeed happen, then you see where I'm going with this. Then you're going to be shell-shocked like no other, to the point where you can literally spiral out of depression into a depression and end up alongside the street or similar. My point is, prepare for that. You need to mentally prepare yourself for stuff like that. And hence the title of this video, don't just be on guard, stay on guard. I'm not saying that you should distrust everybody to the point where you contract PTSD or something like that. No. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying have a healthy dose of skepticism in every imaginable scenario or situation. Where if you just look around you, even people that you love so much, let the thought briefly flash across your mind that, hey, the unthinkable can happen, which is that these people deceive me in the worst imaginable way, that these people literally just stab me in the back. If you do that, then you'll be just fine. But again, I've seen people, especially people, for example, from European countries or etc., you name it, people that live in like their own little world in which everybody is trustworthy, everybody is reliable, etc., etc., etc. Newsflash, that's not the case, obviously. Literally and figuratively speaking, not the case, boyo. That's not the case, bucko. I mean, you're just going to you're setting yourself up for failure. And when something like that does happen and you actually get scammed then or deceived in any way, then you're just gonna be scratching your head and wonder, how the hell did this happen to me? And if you're lucky, you'll have someone like me saying, your own stupidity got you into this, so honestly you deserve what you get. I mean, you get what you deserve, and vice versa. Definitely do not, just everything you do, again, a reminder, in everything you do, similar to the video I made in the past, take everything with a healthy dose of skepticism, not in an unhealthy or unnatural way. If you, for example, approach a business, you approach an individual, you want to do business, you want to come to an agreement, if you went through all the basic things, then that's fine. But briefly, just mentally, briefly prepare yourself for the worst case scenario, as in, hey, you know, what am I going to do if this happens, etc. By default, to just generalize this whole subject, just automatically when you're skeptical, just say to myself, hey, listen, if the unthinkable happens, I'll deal with the situation to the best of my ability. But my point is, don't place all of your hope eggs, essentially, in that proverbial basket. Don't place all of your hope in a specific or in a multitude of occasions or on a multitude of people, their shoulders, or businesses or establishment or whomever or whatever their shoulders. Always think about the worst case scenario briefly, as in, what am I going to do if this happens? I'll just deal with the situation to the best of my ability. What am I going to do if that happens? Just let that flash across your head for like 1 second, 2 seconds, and you'll be just fine. But again, I've seen people that are literally way too trustworthy. Like in the example I gave, people who would literally say, okay, I'll leave my door unlocked for you. No problem, you can just come in. The door is closed, but it's closed, but it's not locked. So you can just come in, or I'll put the key under the doormat, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, etc. There's a reason why, globally speaking, scammers target European countries and North America as a whole. That's because they know that, listen, if I just find 1 out of 10,000 guys that will fall for my scam, regardless of how ridiculous that scam is, to the point where an animal can tell that, hey, this guy's a piece of crap, he's just trying to swindle me, then honestly you can say that you deserve it for being that stupid. It's not a black and white matter, but really, just because you're surrounded by loved ones and you have it really good and that life is good to you and all of that, because I also have all of that, that doesn't mean that you should drop your guard. It happens subconsciously or unconsciously with a lot of people, but again, you need to remain and stay vigilant. That's all. Like,